this is weird. You don't know where you are, or even who you are, and the room is dark. No matter how you strain your eyes, you cannot make out any details. It's cold and quiet here, save for the panic sounds of your own breathing. Yeah, kind of weird, labored breathing. For all you know, you could be the only person alive in the whole world. The world itself seems to have compressed as of late. It's small, shrunken down, no bigger than the size of a walnut. What is this? What is going on? Or are you? The longer you sit there, or stand there, lie there, you can't tell. The warmer your inert body becomes. The balls are inert. Your fingers twitch. Oh, I moved! You have fingers, you remember now. For a short while, though, it felt like much, much longer. You had quite forgotten. You have fingers you can use to touch, a nose you can use to smell, and ears you can use to hear, but no eyes. Arms and legs, a head. You are a person, after all. What is this game? What is this supposed to be, man? Let's turn the gain up on that microphone a little bit. There we go. You were beginning to doubt the nature of your own resistance, lost amidst the ether of non-being. For all you knew, you could have been a cat, a dog, or an amoeba at the bottom of the ocean. What am I playing? You are not any of those things. You have remembered that you are a living creature, a human being, to be more precise, and that has given you the right to live. It is a right afforded only to a precious few. You should cherish the life you have. This is... What... if only your surroundings would become clear, then you might be able to plan an escape route. Escape from what? You know that you can't stay here. It isn't safe. Why isn't it safe? Robbed of your sight, your sense of hearing is more acute than ever before. The sound of silence weighs heavily upon you, broken only by your own heart beating. Yes, it is beating. Yeah, I heard it a second ago. You take comfort in this fact. That organ pumping away inside your chest is proof that you are alive. You exist. You do. How else will you test your existence? You open your mouth, forming shapes, all the vowel sounds. A, E, I, O, U. No sound comes out. Why should it? There is no one here to talk to in this dark and desolate void. It would be nice if there was. Ah, all of a sudden you hear it off in the distance. Perhaps it isn't so distant. It's a low, crackling sound. Fire, perhaps? And just above that, a dull tick-tock, tick-tock. A clock, then, and the chink of china, the flipping of pages. The scent of peppermint tea and dust. I am so confused right now. I opened up a game that I thought was not this, and we are going through this right now. Decades upon decades of dust. The cold, empty environment has spawned life, as though from your own desperate desire for company. Does that make you the center of the universe? I don't know, game. Does it? Fuck. You are not alone anymore. But you still cannot see a thing. You might as well be blind. Is it because I haven't opened my eyes yet? You do not know if you're relieved or not by these sounds. They are cozy, yes, and should be familiar, but you are not sure where you might have heard them before. Maybe from another life. A past life. You swallow. Your throat feels dry, but curiosity propels you onwards. You take a slow, unsteady step forwards. The floorboards, it is a wooden floor, creak beneath your weight. What is going on in this game? Excuse me? Excuse me? Excuse me? Is it echoing? It's echoes. An unfamiliar voice falls from your lips. It's a voice you have not heard before. You recognize it only by the virtue of the fact that it speaks when you manipulate your mouth, your tongue pushed against your teeth. Is this some sort of, like, weird existential crisis, the game? If that game exists, this is it. Your voice echoes throughout the darkened room. Dozens upon dozens of excuse-me's repeat, circling about you like dust motes. The flipping of pages pauses. Still the unseen fire continues to crackle. Somebody is looking at you. You can tell somehow, using your senses. Oh, you can tell they're looking at you despite the thick darkness that envelops you. You shiver. Strain your eyes. Perhaps you can make out a few details here and there. Nothing in this blackness. The wooden floor, a rocking chair, a figure sitting upon it, a dusty old tome in their lap. A girl? Show me. Hey, I get to see now. Check you out. Oh my, it has been such a long while since I've had a visitor. She sighs softly. Is that a good thing? She's pretty. It must be lonely sitting in the dark for so long with nothing but books for company. How can she even read these books in the gloom? But this reality seems to operate differently from the one you came from. It's probably better not to ask these things. What is this game? Otherwise, the whole world might fall apart. My name is Lycoris. May I inquire as to your title? Your title? She wants to know your name? That is an awfully good question, but you don't remember it yourself. Your brain strains as you try to pluck the first word you can think of from the air. What is your name? Butlet? Nah, Butlet's old school. We're looking more like margarine. Nah. How about ink flaps? Ink flaps! Ink flaps, is it? Ink flaps, Vincent? Why? Lycoris nods her head. You can see it shifting slightly in the gloom. Well, ink flaps, do you know where you are? You shake your head. I shake my head. I don't know what's going on in this game. You have no idea. You just happen to wake up here. That is quite natural. Most of my guests are wanderers, travelers, if you will, who find themselves here for want of anywhere else to go. I am not overly fond of fancy names, so I suppose you could call this my library. You glance about, so it is a library after all. You did wonder. This library is filled with books from all over the world, including some which have not yet been written, and some that need a helping hand. What does she mean? Yeah, what does she fucking mean? It is difficult to explain, but stories are not born from nothing, you know. Now, seeing that you are here, and I am here, and there is little else to do, let's bone! Wait, no, hang on, the other thing. You don't understand. How could you be of any help to her? There is a story in here that has been in a state of flux for quite some time. It is about a traveler much like yourself, who... But Lycoris pauses. She frowns. I'm getting ahead of myself. I apologize. In any event, would you like to listen to this story with me? You're curious. What kind of story is it? It is very important to me. I feel it is connected to my identity somehow, yet it rejects me. It shifts like sand when I try to peruse it, and the words do not stay in the correct order. Lycoris, that is called dyslexia. You have dyslexia. Such a thing may not be possible in the world you come from, but this universe can be rather unfair. When we want things the most, they slip between our fingers. If you were with me, however, perhaps I would finally be able to reach the real ending of this story. What is so important about you? You don't understand. I do not know, but I feel as though we have a connection. You feel it too, don't you? This story is special to me, but I feel as though it may be special to you too. You press one hand against your chest. Your heart flutters like the wings of a butterfly. Come on and show them your love. She might be right. In fact, you are sure she is. Why else does your heart pound when she speaks to you? Could be because she's super pretty, that might be a thing. So, what do you say? There is nothing to say. You find yourself nodding in dumb agreement. This woman, whoever she is, takes your breath away. Perfect. Now, why don't you take a seat, my esteemed guest, Ink Flaps? You discover to your surprise that you are sitting in an armchair. When did that happen? This is a very curious library indeed. Let us begin. we shall dive into this story together. We have all the time in the world. Creepy? Read the story or no other choices. Read the story it is. Here we go. And there's the title, Once on a Windswept Night. 10 minutes and 38 seconds into the recording, we get the title of the game. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Arcane Static, and welcome to Once on a Windswept Night. It's a visual novel, I think. Once upon a time, a long, long time ago, there was a traveler. Now, you are probably thinking that this is not a particularly exciting beginning to this tale, and neither is it that original. There are travelers from all walks of life who wander across lands both near and far for innumerable reasons, business, pleasure, or just plain necessity. This story, however, is a little different. It is not an epic, sweeping tale of grand adventure. There are no sword fights, no dragons, and no princesses sealed away in high towers. It is a lot smaller than that. Humbler. It is a simple story about how one such traveler, who should have been unremarkable by all accounts, stumbled upon a secret tucked away in a small dusty corner where few bothered to venture, and managed to change the lives of 2 young women. Yes, that sounds like an interesting story. Wouldn't you agree, ink flaps? The game has not enough sound. There's not enough sound in this. Look, it's probably me. Ugh, I can't believe this. A shadowy figure was tramping through the moors, a hood drawn over their face. Rain pelted the figure from all sides, and the wind stirred the edges of their worn traveling cloak. Still, the figure did not slow in their solitary march. They could not. Oh, I'm sorry. If they did, they might collapse from fatigue, and then they would never be able to get back up again. The rain on these desolate moors was unforgiving. It fell from the gray, overcast sky endlessly, threatening to submerge the landscape with water. Not that the landscape was much to look at, really. There were few scrubby, weather-blasted bushes and a withered old tree that seemed ready to collapse. That was all. C'est tout. It was the travelers' first time in Dakhwa, and they were not particularly impressed.
That accursed goblin! What did he take me for? If I see him again, I'll wring his neck!
The traveler cursed under their breath. There was no reason for them to do so, as there was nobody within 100 miles who could hear them, but it made them feel a little bit better. It gave them a reason to keep going. Revenge. They couldn't let themselves die out here, not until they tracked down the conniving, backstabbing rogue and... What? Killed him? No, that would never work. The traveler was a merchant, not a mercenary, and they had never killed anybody before. They were a vegetarian, for goodness sake. Tori's gonna love this story. They would have to do something else then. But what? Maybe this was nothing more than foolishness. Dakhwa was a large country, and the goblin would be long gone by now. They would never see him again.
No, I can't back down. I will find him. I will!
The traveler's ears twitched. Their nose was running.
Ew, gross!
They sniffled, trying to stem a trail of snot that was beginning to trickle from their right nostril. That wasn't very appealing. The rain had seeped through their traveling cloak, and the traveler's skin was icy cold. Even their shoes were waterlogged, and they were good shoes, too. High-quality dragon hide from the best tailor in Charlotte. Not that it mattered now. They were ruined.
That goblin! I have to find him! I'll show him what for! He could have dropped me off outside the village gates, but no! It's only a 5-minute walk, he said. Follow the path, he said. What path?
The traveler had been duped, and they knew it. The goblin had not only taken their money, but refused to deliver them to their destination. They'd been walking for 5 hours, and had still not encountered a single dwelling. The rain was getting heavier. The traveler did not fancy their chances. What if they died? But life, as always, has a way of providing when we need it the most. When things look grim and we've lost all hope, there is always a light to guide us. A light that takes us by the metaphorical hand and envelops us in warmth. At least, that is how stories work. It would be a tragically short tale if the main character died within the first 5 minutes. It was when the traveler finally accepted the possibility of their own imminent death with teary eyes and a snotty nose that they chanced upon it. Salvation. There, in the distance, over the tops of one of the many hills, was a shape, a structure, a building. It was no piece of mere vegetation like the other markers that dotted the environment. This shadow, though faint, had walls and a roof, and there were lights flickering in the windows like fireflies. Ah! The traveler gulped. They had almost succumbed to the cold. Their fiery indignation toward the goblin had faded alongside their last scraps of strength, and they had been on the verge of surrender. Sweet, blissful surrender. But they could hardly do that now. They had to keep going. Transitions! Oh, you're cute. The nun. Shit, what's a voice for a nun?
Oh my, are you all right?
The sodden traveler was met in the entrance of the church by a young woman wearing the garb of a nun. Her habit was navy, her hair was cornflower blonde, and her eyes were blue. Those blue eyes were fringed by very long, pale eyelashes, and when she blinked, the traveler feared she might lacerate her own irises with them. Who fucking wrote this? This is the purplest of prose. In a word, she was pretty. Who fucking wrote this? This is awful! Almost inhumanly so. Enough to take the traveler's breath away.
I am fine.
But the traveler was uneasy on their feet, and they faltered.
I think, I might need to sit down for a few moments.
But of course, please, rest a while.
Feel like I'm one of the nuns from Monty Python and the Holy Grail.
We are but 4 young blondes and brunettes, all between the ages of 16 and 19 and a half.
The nun took hold of the traveler's hand. Her skin was soft and warm, and the traveler's face flushed from the close contact. Not that the nun noticed. The traveler's face was, after all, still obscured by a heavy hood. Clomp, 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 clomp. The nun led the traveler to one of the wooden pews, and there the traveler sat. They had not realized how exhausted they were until the pressure had been taken off their feet.
Oh dear. You are exhausted. You should stay here for the night.
Oh no, I couldn't. I don't want to impose, and there is somewhere else I need to be.
Don't be silly. It is raining witches and warlocks outside.
It's all right. I'm rather durable.
The traveler raised one slender arm, the folds of their cloak fluttering, and tried to flex their muscles. The nun did not seem impressed. Though she was a soft woman with gentle curves and golden hair, there was a certain hardness about her, schoolmistressy perhaps, that made one point absolutely apparent. If she wanted to care somebody, If she wanted to care for somebody, she would, no matter how unwilling that somebody was. The traveler was weak against people like this.
That is very impressive, but you are dripping wet. You will catch your death of cold.
Whatever doesn't kill you makes you stronger?
And whatever does kill you, kills you.
I like that! That's my new favorite thing. Whatever kills you, kills you.
Yes. I didn't think of that.
Then it is a good thing you chanced upon this church. We don't get many visitors.
The nun's voice trailed off, and the traveler felt inclined to ask why that was. It sounded like the beginning of a story, some narrative thread one would do well to follow, but the nun shook her head and the moment passed. Shall we save this game and pick it up next time? Record the story. There we go. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is the first episode of Once on a Windswept Night. Thank you very much for watching. I hope that you've enjoyed it. If you have, the like and subscribe buttons are waiting just below this video to basically be me reading a book to you. I hope that you like audiobooks. You can also follow my socials. That's the Facebook and Twitter that are in the description box. And if you feel like it, you can throw some support my direction at the Patreon link that's down there as well. Thank you guys very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.